Okay, welcome to the Dublin Academy of Maths, and today it's Leaving Cert Ordinary Level Maths, and we're on Series 4, Episode 1, and it's Paper 1, Complex Numbers. Now here are the questions. I'm going to get back to them in a minute. But anyway, we're doing complex numbers, and the first thing is I is equal to the square root of minus 1, and I squared is equal to minus 1. Now what does that mean to you or I? Okay, well, during the early part of the 21st century, there was a guy called Hamilton. Okay, and he came out with this I is equal to the square root of minus 1. Now, it happened because there's a lot of problems associated with algebra that contained answers with square root of minus 1. And they didn't know what to do with it. Okay, now the reason why they didn't know what to do it because it's impractical. Okay, you can't get the square root of minus 1. It's like me saying to you, you know that the square root of 4 is equal to plus or minus 2, because if you want to go backwards again, minus 2 squared is equal to 4. Okay, but you cannot get a square root of a minus number. If you try it on your calculator, you will. So you can't get the square root of minus 4. Okay, you have to take an I out of it. So that's the same as square root of 4 by the square root of minus 1. This is surds. Okay, surds is in series 1 for surds. Okay. So this square root of minus 1 is I. So it becomes the square root of 4 times I, which is 2I, is the answer to that one. Okay. So if you can look at it long enough, you will see that this makes some sort of sense. Okay, so they call them real and imaginary numbers. Okay, so in other words, they call them complex numbers. Okay, now this is the imaginary part. Okay, and this is the real part. Okay. Now I'm just going to do a few questions here, but the main thing is remember that I squared is equal to minus 1. Now this is the start of the series, so remember that you're doing plenty of questions. You're going to do all these questions. You're going to practice and find your errors. Okay, when you find your errors, you work out your fears. You dissolve away your fear. Okay, now I can't stress this enough. This has to be done. Okay, now you can catch me on dublinacademy@gmail.com. My email is dublinacademy@gmail.com. academy@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook under Dublin Academy, and I'm also online, so that's www.dublinacademyonline, all one word.com. Okay, you find me there as well. Back to the question. So as I was saying, if x squared is equal to 4, x is equal to plus or minus 2 is the answer. Okay, because it could have been a minus before it became a square. Okay. In other words, minus 2 to be squared is equal to 4. Okay, so that's your answer, plus or minus 2. So say if x squared is equal to minus 1, x is equal to the square root of minus 1, x is equal to I, we call that I. Okay, the imaginary part of that is 1. Okay, remember now you're breaking up imaginary parts, which we will get to later. Let's have a look at, so usually they're written in the form of a plus bi, or you might see x plus yi, which is a favourite at the moment of the Leaving Cert papers. So for example, z is equal to minus 5 plus 6i. Okay, now the real part there, or the real part there is minus 5, so that's the real part, and the imaginary part is 6. Okay, so you remember that because you will need them to plot them on an argon diagram, which is like a coordinated plane. I'm going to do another question now, one short question. So remember that's the form they come in. So what's the square root of minus 48? Well, 48 is the same as the square root of minus 1 by the square root of 48. Okay. Now, we know that square root of minus 1 is equal to I, and now we have to get the square root of 48. Now, the square root of 48 also breaks up into 4 by 12. Now, this is surd rule because I can't get the square root of 48, it'll only end up as a decimal, and I don't want to do decimals here because they like to make them into surds, okay, because a nice round answer comes out. So that becomes the square root of 4, which is 2, square root of minus 1, which is I, imaginary, 2 times the square root of 12, which is the same as the square root of 12, is the same as 4 times root 3. So you see, you keep bringing it down. And the square root of 4 is the same as I times 2 times root 3. Okay? So you got 4I 3 root 3, so it becomes 4 times root 3 I is the answer. Okay? Or 4I times root 3, but it doesn't matter. But make sure you have your I last, I think it's more preferable. Okay, so you see what happened here. I'm breaking them down. Surds, series 1, algebra, you'll find surds. Okay, now, so this guy, Hamilton, was an Irishman, and he, in Broombridge, near the County Dublin, up near the Liffey, he etched out on the wooden bridge that I is equal to the square root of minus 1, and every year Maynooth University, St Patrick's Maynooth University, pay homage to him, and they do a little walk around Kildare and back to the college, but they pass over Broombridge. Okay, it was a moment of inspiration he had, but it helped a lot of people in fourth dimensional planes, four dimensional, which we won't get into. Okay, so 4D was all to do with abstract algebra. Okay. But that's the main crux of it, okay? So remember, I squared is equal to minus 1. That's the same as the square root of minus 1 by the square root of minus 1. Well, the square root of 2 by the square root of 2 is the same as 2 by 2, okay? So it's, do you understand what I'm saying here? So it's the square root of it. So you're cancelling the squares. You see what I'm here is equal to 2. Sorry about that. So, and this is equal to minus 1, okay? So the square root of minus 1 by the square root of minus 1 is, so they cancel out and you're left with minus 1. Okay? That's that done. Now, so back to the questions. I'm going to move over straight away to questions. These are fairly simple. Simplify using imaginary numbers. The square root of minus 4 is the same as square root of minus 1 times the square root of 4, and then you break down the square root of 4, and you will find that there are factors in here of 4 or 2 factors of the square root. Okay, in other words, you will get, say, you might get 16 out of here, 4 times root 16, so that's I times root 4 by root 16. Okay, 4 16s are 464. Okay, so that's be 2 times 4, which is 8i. Okay, so you see what I'm getting at here. Right then, write down the imaginary numbers, write down the real parts. So the real parts is A and B is the imaginary part. Real part is minus 3, the imaginary part is minus 1, not I. Minus 2 for the imaginary part, okay. Write down each following in the following form. A plus bi, well that's 8, that's a real number. That's an imaginary number, so that's going to be 0 minus I. Okay, so, and this one here, you have to work out again, okay? It's normal algebra. So get used to doing these algebra questions because there's a lot of them coming up. Thank you.